All right, so we are on El Numero 14, reasons that I have to be my own doctor. And you probably want to consider doing this as well. Number 14, the infant mortality rate figured in life expectancy. When you figure the infant mortality rate in life expectancy data and see that we do not live longer than generations before us, but have only improved sanitation and made amazing leaps in our ability to deliver babies that live past infancy. Think about this. In the 1800s, 46%, 46% of babies died. For every 100 born, that's 46 didn't make it to age 5. When this is considered, then you look at the life expectancy of only adults, we find that we are living no longer now than at any other point in recorded history. That's a problem. You see, if we were doing so good in healthcare, shouldn't we be living longer? When you have a 50%, almost half of the children born die before age 5, and then all of a sudden we have these new methods of delivering babies, and now you have, what is the percentage? I think we have like a 7% infant mortality rate. You would think that the life expectancy would grow dramatically, but we're living right at the same amount of time in years that we used to. See, if you look at the study published by Aaron O'Neill, you can go to statistica.com/statistics 1041693 United States all-time child mortality rate. The child mortality rate in the United States for children under the age of 5 was 462.9 deaths per 1,000 births in 1800. This means that for every 1,000 babies in 1800, over 46% did not make it to their 5th birthday. Over the course of the next 220 years, this number dropped drastically, and the rate has dropped to its lowest point ever in 2020, where it's just 7 deaths per 1,000 births. Although the child mortality rate has decreased greatly over this 220-year period, there were 2 occasions where it increased in the 1870s as a result of the 4th cholera pandemic, smallpox outbreaks, and yellow fever, and in the 1910s due to Spanish flu pandemic, which, by the way, the Spanish flu was only that bad because they used face coverings. Fauci proved that to us. So you take that into account, and then you go, well, is there any proof for this grand statement that, you know, the infant mortality rate? Well, number 15, the lifespan of our founding fathers. If you want proof and evidence to further prove the point about the incompetence and the laughable statements that we have today by the medical profession that we live longer now than we ever have before, you just start looking up the lifespan of the founding fathers. Most of our founders lived over 80 years despite having little to no medicine, and it being in the 1700s. Now, think about this. The reason that you don't have freedom of medicine today is due to George Washington. George Washington, he did, whenever they were drafting the Constitution, Benjamin Rush, the only medical doctor on the whole bunch of the founding fathers, there was one medical doctor, his name was Benjamin Rush, and he was like, you need to put freedom of medicine in here lest the medical profession take over the entire country. And Washington said, no, there's no time or whatever. He made up some excuse. I don't know what it was. But George Washington being the deciding vote to not include that in the documents in our Constitution, right? So you didn't get medical freedom because of Washington. Now, what happened to George Washington? Well, George Washington got the flu or whatever. He got some type of respiratory situation going on. And then what they did is they said, well, back then they said, well, it means that you have bad blood, right? So they used leeches to pull the blood out of him. And whenever you do bloodletting, I mean, you feel a little better for a minute. When that didn't work, they're like, well, we're not getting the bad blood. So they would pack your mouth with mercury. And when the mercury would start to come out of your pores, they would say that was the bad blood coming out. When that didn't work, they packed his anus with mercury, effectively killing him. George Washington paid the price for withholding medical freedom by being killed by the medical profession. You know, they've had a lot of practices like that. You should hear what happened to the father of germ theory. But I digress. That is number 14 and number 15 reason that I can't trust the medical profession. I mean, we don't live any longer than we ever have, and we have all these new inventions and all these new drugs, and they still don't cure anything. So, the great thing about freedom is you can make whatever decision you want, unless it's about medicine. Think about that. Oh, go by nhcherbs.com if you want an alternate way to stay healthy so you don't have to deal with the medical profession and become one of these unique statistics. Or actually, very not unique statistics, just die like everybody else.